You look very unhappy right at the end. So you go to the touchline. You look. What was the problem there?
I was very unhappy with my medical staff because you have to understand the game. Even if you are a kit man, a doctor or a secretary on the bench, you have to understand the game, and you have to know that you have one player less. And when you go to the pitch to assist a player, you must be sure that the player has a serious problem. And I was sure that Eden hadn't a serious problem. He had a knock. He was very, very tired. And my medical department, in the impulse, naive, they let me with 8 field players, and in a counter-attack after a set piece, we were with 2 players less.
You know, you speak about that story at Chelsea. First of all, I have not followed that at all, because you know that I have not a great interest in what's going on at Chelsea. And secondly, the rules are quite clear, is that when the referee gives an indication that the medical can come on, he can come on. After that, what happens specifically in this situation, I don't know. But the rules are quite clear. It's the referee who makes the decision.
And medical department, only 2 go to the bench, and we are more than a dozen. Important to be on the bench for some. For others, it's more important what they do, the contribution they do, what they do behind the scenes, and what they do for the good of the team. But I understand the question, and I don't want to run away from the question. John Fern and Dr. Carneiro, they will not be on the bench. But doesn't mean that Sunday is the rest of our season or the rest of our careers. They will not be on the bench on Sunday. That's clear. It's my decision, it's my responsibility. But that doesn't mean that they cannot be in the future.
That's what Jose thinks. Peter Green's tweeted me already to say the manager's word is final. If she doesn't like it, leave. Joining us to talk about it further, Central London sports journalist Natasha Henry, and here with me in the studio is the broadcaster Milo Yiannopoulos. Let's turn to you, Natasha, first of all, if I may. You think he's in the wrong?
I do think he's in the wrong, 100%.
Why?
I think I'm a big believer, if you have a problem with your staff, then you deal with it in-house first and foremost. And secondly, he needs to understand their job as much as they need to understand his. If the medical team hadn't gone onto the field, they would have been breaking rules of the British Medical Council. So would he rather that they didn't do their job and just abided to what he feels is right? Or would he prefer that they did their job and made sure that the health and safety of the player was the most important thing?
Milo?
I don't know, I have to take a slightly different view on this. I kind of get the impression behind a lot of the reporting here that people are trying to make this into slightly a gender issue. I'm not sure why we're really even hearing about it. I mean, thank God for the drama in football, because if it weren't for the drama in football, I mean, it would be so unutterably boring. Football is a game in any case with women and homosexuals. It's just so dull. It's the reason women's football is tolerable, because it's so close already to this incredibly boring thing. I don't get why we're talking about this at all, except for the fact that every time a woman seems to get fired or sidelined, it seems to become a gender issue. It's almost like men are sort of anxious to white knight her, and I wonder about the message this sends out, that women somehow need this help. He's the manager. You know, the game of football revolves around the off-pitch drama. It is entirely up to him whether he wants to fire or or hire people. They are known for being mercurial and difficult, and it seems to me that we're only hearing about this because this woman happens to have a pair of breasts.
Natasha?
Personally, I'm not buying into the he's sexist. That's not at all my issue with it. My issue with it is that she's a medically trained doctor, very, very well trained, very successful and experienced. And I just feel whether she was a man or a woman, that his attitude towards a lot of people is disrespectful. I just don't see how demoting someone is supporting them as a member of your staff. Now, if it came down to it, choices, Jose probably trained for 3 years to do his job. She trained for 8. So I think all medical staff, regardless of who they work for, deserve a bit more respect.
Martin Turner's tweeted to Milo to say that Eden Hazard, who's the player on the floor, he surely should have known the rules as well. Why blame the doctor?
Well, I don't think anyone's blaming the doctor. All they're suggesting is that it is the manager, the coach's prerogative to do exactly as he pleases. And my question at the beginning was simply why we're hearing about this. Why is this news? Why is this interesting? Why are so many people talking about it? There's a sort of underlying red thread here, which I'm a bit suspicious about. And at training periods, whether she was training for 8 years to be a doctor seems to me to be entirely irrelevant. The fact is he's made a decision about his team, and she's been very gracious about it. It's not her that is driving this extraordinary and mystifying controversy. She was very gracious on Facebook. She said, thanks for all the support, but didn't go into any of the details, didn't go into, whether or not she felt that the decision was fair. She simply, she was nice about it. It seems to be the media that are making this a story, and I still can't work out why. And I'm getting a sense that readers from comment sections online, from Twitter, are also wondering, why is this a story? Why every time a woman, is demoted or has a tough time at work, do we make it an issue of, make it into an issue, even if we don't use the S word? It's very peculiar, and frankly, it's got nothing to do with how long she trained, how long he trained. It's got nothing to do with any particular commentator's assessment of whether she was right or not to head onto the pitch. He made a decision. It is essential, for the functioning of the football industry as we know it, that these mercurial, dictators are allowed to behave like this. It's what people read the sports pages for, after all. I just don't understand why we're talking about it.
As far as you're concerned, Natasha, I mean, surely it is up to the manager. He decides who sits pitch side and who doesn't. And on occasion, as we know in the past, when he's overstepped the mark, he's been forced to move away from the side of the pitch. So it's up to the manager to choose.
Oh, I have no problem with him deciding who he wants on the bench next to him. It's the way he deals with things. This is a story to respond to Milo. It's a story because it's Jose Mourinho. And one thing Jose's known for is drawing attention away from his team when they've actually been quite disappointing. We've seen him blame referees, the weather, lines people, even ball boys have been at fault when Chelsea haven't performed as they should do. And that's why it's a story. It's a story because rather than talking about the inability of his team, the current champions, to beat Swansea at home, he decided to explain to us why he was shouting at his medical staff. He could have said that.
This is what people watch football for, isn't it? I mean, this is why people watch football. It's for all the hissy fits and drama. This is a sport for people who love a bit of drama. It's a sport for people who, aren't necessarily particularly interested in athleticism. I mean, it's a sport for people who perhaps aren't into really properly manly games like hockey, ice hockey, or American football.
Okay, let me take you to the Emirates and let's see if people pay more attention.
It's a sport for people who live for off-pitch drama. And
that's what they live for.
What Mourinho does is no different to what the players do on the pitch when they dive, and it's very difficult. I mean, I kind of feel for her in a sense. It's very difficult for a doctor to know whether or not, a player is genuinely in pain because, these men are such theatrical divas, and I think he's well within his rights to make a judgment about whether or not it was a good decision of hers. And
no, the referee called her onto the pitch. She was following the rules that she normally follows, which is the referee's called her onto the pitch.
Everything.
Therefore, she doesn't know if the player's broken his leg or not.
So referees are never wrong about anything?
No, I'm saying she did her job. That's what she did. In the same way that your boss calls you and says, can you actually do me 1,000 words today? The referee called her onto the pitch, so she did her job. In
the judgment of her boss, she has...
He's not her boss. Roman Abramovich is her boss.
Okay.
Jose Mourinho is the manager of the team, not the manager of the staff around him.
Well, presumably if he weren't her boss, he wouldn't be able to sideline her in the way that he has.
Oh, the order he may have used the words, but it's not his order. It's down to people above Jose to make the decisions, just as it is whether he can spend money, which he hasn't, which is why he's thrown his toys out of the pram this week.
You're going to struggle now because we're talking about football and you know nothing about it, do you, Milo?
Nonsense, that's ridiculous. I told you it's a game for women and homosexuals, so obviously I've been to lots of matches.
Who's your team then?
Well,
I think
demographically I'm supposed to be a Spurs supporter, but I'm probably a Chelsea guy.
Who's your team, Natasha?
I'm an Arsenal fan.
Ah, good girl. And do you think that Wenger would ever do this?
Wenger's well known for trying to keep issues in-house.
Look how well that's worked out for him.
He doesn't abuse his players in public, so it's very unlikely he would abuse his staff in public.
Maybe if he did, Arsenal would be doing a bit better.
Oh, he does. See, he literally knows nothing about football, Natasha.
It's been one game.
Well, let's not even talk to him about the European League, should we? We must leave it there. Thanks very much indeed to both of you for joining us here on Sky News this afternoon. Thank you.
Former Chelsea first-team doctor Eva Carneiro rejected a £1.2 million settlement from the club. Documents submitted to her employment tribunal show. Dr Carneiro is claiming constructive dismissal at a hearing this week against Chelsea and has a separate but connected personal legal action against former boss Jose Mourinho for alleged victimisation and discrimination. Mourinho criticised Carneiro for treating Eden Hazard in the closing stages of Chelsea's opening Premier League game against Swansea last August.
Jose Mourinho gave evidence at the second day of former Chelsea team doctor Eva Carneiro's employment tribunal against the club. Dr Carneiro claimed constructive dismissal against Chelsea and a separate but related claim of discrimination against Mourinho. The tribunal ended on Tuesday when Dr Carneiro accepted undisclosed settlements from both Chelsea and Mourinho. Chelsea said in a statement, the club regrets the circumstances which led to Dr Carneiro leaving the club and apologises unreservedly to her and her family for the distresses caused. We wish to place on record that in running onto the pitch, Dr Carneiro was following both the rules of the game and fulfilling her responsibility to the players as a doctor, putting their safety first. Jose Mourinho also thanked Dr Carneiro for the excellent and dedicated support she provided as first-team doctor and wishes her a successful career.
The empathy between the structures. That structure was not complex. That structure was very simple. Roman, Peter Kenyon, and Jose. And there was a big trust on that.